You could be anywhere doing anything. So wherever you're listening and however you're listening, we appreciate you guys for listening. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another exciting episode of the Gameplan Podcast. Alex Goodwin is my name. You can follow me on Twitter at Alex Goodwin TSM. Again, that's on Twitter at Alex Goodwin TSM. That's T as in tacos, S as in sangria, M as in margaritas. Kennedy Miller.
What's going on, fellas? How y'all doing today?
Man, doing pretty good, So where can the folks find you on the artist, formerly known as Twitter?
Find me on Twitter at _Kennedy Miller _. Again, that's _Kennedy Miller _.
All right. Joining us again, the big homie Lamar Gafford, towntalk.com. Oh no, I didn't got your job messed up. Not towntalk.com. Sinlawpreps.com. There we go. Got to get you straight. Lamar, how you doing today, dog?
Appreciate you, man. I'm doing pretty good. How about yourself?
Man, I am doing pretty good. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. We see a few comments already here in our YouTube comments section. Don't forget, folks, throw your questions and your comments in the chat room. You never know. We might just read it out live here on the program. And I said S as in sangria. I should have said S as in sad, as in going out sad, because that's what the Dallas Mavericks are doing. They're down 0-3. They lost 106-99 to the Boston Celtics. Jason Tatum led Boston with 31, 6, and 5. Kyrie led Dallas with 35 points on 13 of 28 shooting, but it still was not enough. Lamar Gafford, I'm going to give you the first couple minutes of the show to pour something out for your Dallas Mavericks. So the floor is yours, sir.
Yeah, let's just go ahead and try to do that right now because it looked like at one point we were down 21 points in the fourth quarter, and it looked doom and gloom, and then they start coming all the way back in the ball game. But unfortunately, Luka gets his sixth foul, and I think that pretty much changed everything from that situation there. Luka and Kyrie, they came out gunning. I mean, they had 55 shots between the both of them. I think the rest of the team had 31. They were 14 for 31 for the rest of the team. But they did their part. It's just that, again, comes back into it here. You didn't have anybody else that could have also supplemented and helping them out in this case. PJ with 13. But you also had Lively with 11, but you had obviously Derek Jones and also Daniel Gafford only getting 8 points between the both of them. And again, against a juggernaut just like Boston is, that's just not enough in order to try to stop them. Like you said, with our guys here, with both of them getting a good substantial amount of points in the ball game. And of course, them scoring, Kyrie scoring 35 and Luka getting 27. The other thing is Boston's big two also had 30 points in the ball game there, and that pretty much negated everything. And so when Boston was able to build up that big lead in the second half to start everything off, and even with Dallas coming back, pretty much they were just going with house money at that point. And yeah, it's just looking like doom and gloom. You just have to hope that game 4, they at least get one in Dallas. But I got a feeling that we're probably going to be seeing banner number 18 being raised up in the Garden.
Well, first of all, I mean, basketball's a game of runs. So Boston had a amazing third quarter where it felt like they couldn't miss. And then, like Lamar said, they hit that three. I think it was Derek White hit the three that got them up to 21. And, you kind of thought they were going to ride off with it. But as Alex and I talk about typical Boston fashion, right? They just make things more difficult for themselves than they have to be. And, like, I don't want to take anything away from Dallas. Like, Dallas started playing better and making shots, but it just felt like Boston was like sometimes they look like this poised team that's been to multiple conference finals, been to a finals already, And then other times they look like this is why y'all haven't won anything. Like the possession, Al Horford gets a rebound. I think they're at 4 or 6, and he's like pushing the ball up the floor in like a hurry. And Josh Green is like coming from behind and like tips it. You know, he knocks it off, he deflects it out of bounds, and Al Horford touches it last. Like, I don't understand what the hurry was in that. And it was too many possessions. Drew Holiday shot a bad shot one of those possessions when the momentum is clearly turning towards Dallas's side, right? But I just don't think Dallas has enough. Like the shots that Boston generates. Like those dudes shot over 43s again tonight. Like, and they're hitting it at a pretty good clip. Everybody's a freaking threat to make it, right? Like Xavier Tillman comes in the game and makes a corner three. And it's just like, that's backbreaking, right? Because Porzingis isn't playing. You think they got to kind of change things up. And then you leave him in the corner and he knocks one down. Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, as much flack as we've given them over the years, right, for not getting it done or, you know, always coming up short, they're still a pretty young duo, and they're one of the best duos in the game because they can both score at 3 levels. Now, Jason Tatum, very talented, right? Some of the shots I don't get. Like, he was part of the spearheading the run that brought them back, right? Because he has these moments where, like, he puts his head down, he gets a spin move, he gets a dunk. And it's like, dude, you can get to the rim and you can do that a lot. Like, you don't have to settle for these, like, step backs and these contested jumpers. Like, I don't know. It's not like a skill to make it just to take tougher shots, right?
That's that Mamba mentality.
Man, and Mamba mentality, right? But
you think he's texted Kobe? You think he texted Kobe yet?
Please don't show another screenshot of that, Jason Tatum. Please don't show another screenshot.
Yo, when they win this series, Jason Tatum is absolutely gonna recreate that picture. Kobe in the showers with the jacket on.
You know it.
He is totally gonna do it.
I gotta give him credit though. This is a very well balanced team, and you know, like we talked about Xavier Tillman, Sam Hauser, the fake Gordon Hayward. Like this dude came in and like hit 2 threes. Like those are crucial buckets because those are like your 7th, 8th men on your rotation, right? Coming in and giving you quality minutes when guys are sitting down. Like you can't ask for better. So you gotta tip your hat off to the Celtics, man. It's about to be banner number 18.
For me, I think kind of like in game 2. Tonight, I knew at halftime who was going to win. And I was like, Boston's going to win this game, right? Like, by the end of it, Kyrie Irving had 35 points. He had 20 in the first half. Through the first 2 games, he only had 28 points combined. Luka was cooking. They're at home. They don't have KP. In a situation like that, you would think the home team would be up double digits, right? They were only up 1 at halftime. So I'm like, all right, they're probably just not going to win this game, right? And it kind of shows you a few things about Boston, right? One, Boston is just that doggone good, right? Like, I think there are times we forget and Boston doesn't help themselves when they have an 8-minute stretch in which they only score 2 points and take horrible shots. This is a 65-win basketball team this year.
Mm-hmm.
I think they've only lost twice in the entire playoffs? I think that's what the number is. But it's just so obvious that Dallas just purely does not have the manpower. Right? Like Dallas like we said last week, Dallas has the 2 best players, individual players in this series. But Boston, if we talk about top 7, Boston has 5 of the best 7 players in this series, right? And you consistently see it. even when they don't have Porzingis, who is out with some injury that I have no idea what's up with him. Because, King, when you sent me the notification and it was explaining all the medical terms, forgive me, y'all, I only took physical science 1 in college, so I didn't know if they was talking about his eye, his leg, or his foot. But be that as it didn't matter, right? They still were able to win that game. And at one point, it looked like they were going to win that game pretty doggone comfortably. And I was going to get on here and talk about the competitive maturity of the Boston Celtics. That's what I was going to get on here and talk about until they completely looked like they were about to self-destruct. Because before Luka Doncic fell apart, before it all fell apart for Boston, they were dominating that game. But Ken, like we always say, they can go from looking like a 65-win basketball team, and then for 7 or 8 minutes, they look like they don't know what they're doing. And that's the part that's confusing to me. And they're going to win a title like this. And that's what's wild. That's the wildest part to me about this, is that they're this great of a basketball team. And I don't think I've seen this great of a basketball team in my life that can have long stretches like that. You know what I mean?
Well, and I think that's why, we thought the series was going to be closer, or, some people, kind of pick Dallas, is because they're battle tested, right? But it hasn't really been stamped by somebody that we certified this year. So they've lost 2 games, but they went through Miami with no Jimmy Butler, and we've went over this before. Cleveland, who, down the stretch of the series, Donovan Mitchell, Jared Allen aren't playing. And then Indiana. Like, you didn't go through anybody that's certified in the East. You didn't go through Philadelphia this year. You didn't go through
Is Philadelphia certified, though?
I don't think they're certified, but are they better than the 3 teams that they played? I would say so. You didn't go through Milwaukee, right? You didn't go through a healthy Miami Heat team. And so those are the matchups that we've been like, either Boston has it or Boston doesn't have it, right? And so then you get here and it's like, okay, well, what can Boston do? Because we've seen all these teams that they played, right? These teams at one point or the other have capitalized on I don't even want to say self-destruction of the Celtics, but because you have to give the other team credit. But like you said, they're a 65-win ball club for a reason. And it's just like, these dudes get bored when they're winning. It's like they get bored and they just start doing whatever. I think their game plan is fantastic. And it's really what has changed this series, or, kept the series what it is. Like, Tatum on Gafford or Lively. Like, they're putting Tatum on the big, and they're putting the big in the corner on Derrick Jones. So, like, Luka is not able to get off and attack Al Horford or Porzingis when he was playing like he has before, because you got Tatum who can maintain his own. And at the end of the day, like, you're not about to say, okay, Daniel Gafford, I'll throw it into the post to you because you got Jason Tatum guarding you, because that's taking shots away from Luka and Kyrie. So, like, they can't exploit the matchup that they're trying to get to. And even you putting Derrick Jones in the pick and roll now that Al Horford is guarding him or Porzingis is guarding him, he's not as effective as a roller. And now that guy, Gafford or Lively, is standing in the corner so Jason Tatum can have a foot in the paint. So it just throws off their whole rhythm of 2 ISO-heavy guys on their team that like to get downhill and then get lobs if they can't score. Like, I can't remember what the stat is, but Dallas is – the amount of lobs that they've connected on in the playoffs is
54.
Is it 54?
54 going into the finals.
What's like the next highest team was like 20 something.
28.
Yeah, it was like 20 something. Like, that was a pivotal part of their offense that has kind of been stifled just because of that adjustment, right? And you got to give Joe Mazzulla credit for it. And Dallas, they tried to go at different things, like, they can play faster out of it, but it's hurting them. it's hurting them to consistently get great shots. And then, especially on the other side, when we talked about the shot selection that Boston gets, if Luka's not going to play great defense and like be a turntable, then Boston is going to keep generating great looks because they're putting Dallas's defense in way more rotation than Dallas is putting Boston's defense in.
And I was just about to get to that. Was Luka's defense. And we got the homie Marcus in the comments. I'm gonna put it on the screen now for everybody. Luka Samuel L. Doncic folded another one late game. Are you calling him Samuel L. Doncic because he be cussing like Samuel L. Jackson? Because that's where I think you're going. You know what I'm saying? Luka be cussing like Samuel L. was in Django and Pulp Fiction.
Hey, he's not cussing. He's speaking Slovenian. He's speaking Slovenian. That's what he says.
I read lips. Even if he was speaking Slovenian, he's still cussing. You can read body language. But for years on this show, we've talked about Luka's defense, or at times lack thereof, right? During this postseason, he had played better defense. And I think the issue wasn't that Luka couldn't play defense. The issue was, at least in my estimation, a lack of effort. During this series, he has been defensively terrible. And I don't think there's another word to use, because time in and time out, like somebody made a cut up video of just blow by. So many times Luka's just standing in no man's land. And at that point, Dallas's big goal has been, all right, let's just kind of put Luka over somewhere, right? And I think, Ken, you said this the other night, because everybody that Boston has on the floor can put the ball on the floor and can shoot. There's nowhere to really hide him.
Nope.
And so now, once Luka gets beat, everybody else is in scramble mode, and then the ball just swing, open three, layup, dunk, right? Your best player has to play better defense than that, right? And you don't I'm not saying he has to be Gary Payton. I'm not saying he has to be Kawhi or anything like that, but it can't be that. You know what I mean, Lamar?
Right. Yeah, it definitely cannot be that here in that case here, because just those smaller things here that could really help out the Mavericks defense. And you look at all throughout the playoffs. I mean, the Mavericks have had a very solid defense against the Clippers, against OKC, against Minnesota, and I think part of that was also Luka, playing, at least giving him some credit here of being a decent defender. And if he can be a decent defender, then, more than likely your chances are of winning the ball game and all of that as well. I also think as well, I mean, if you kind of take a look at this, I just think here Celtics are also the more experienced team when it comes down to being at this stage. You look at some of the guys here for the Mavericks, the only ones that really have been to the point has been Kyrie. And if you really want to put in like his EuroLeague stuff, Luka. And some of the other guys here, they've never really been in this situation. They've never been deep into the playoffs before. PJ Washington, the Hornets never go this far. I mean, Daniel Gafford, the Wizards never go this far. So I think that also has a lot to kind of do with it as well, too. And, it's just one team's performing much better, executing much better. And then I think also the experience when it comes down to it as well.
I think the weird thing about Boston now is, because it's very obvious, I don't know what the stat is. It's like 158-0 once a team goes up 3-0. Is that the number? Or it might be higher than that, right? Boston's going to wrap this up. And Lamar, I want to ask y'all this question before we go to fan questions here in a second. Where do you guys put this championship run for Boston? At least, I mean, when I speak about championship run, I mean like playoff run, right? Because they're going to end up losing two games, 3 max, because I don't expect Dallas to get more than 1 game. And if they get a game, it's going to have to be Friday night. You know what I mean?
Obviously it's one of the more impressive impressive, championships when we'll go back and look at it, right? Um, but again, you just never got that feel like you do like a lot of times like this is a championship team, like nobody's beating this team this year. You know what I mean? Like at least not from me in my opinion. It was this Boston team is really good. It's more of like a let's see if they crack the code. Let's see if they can get over the hump. There was never a moment where I was just like, God, yeah, this is the best team in the league right here. Like I didn't think so for majority of the year, and I thought that they got the best matchup out of the West that that they could get. I would have liked to see them play against like a Denver or like a Minnesota, but they can't determine who they play. They just did. They just played whoever was in front of them. So you got to give them credit. Um, and it's just one of those teams that you know you can call them like superstars, but I think it was just a really well-rounded team. And I kind of think about like 2004 Pistons, right? And somebody put it like every 10 years, like it's a balanced team. 2004 Pistons, 2014 Spurs, and now the 2024 Celtics. Real balanced teams that have won championships this century. Um, so I gotta give them credit. I gotta give them credit for that. Um, and yeah, let's see if they sweep. Let's see if they can sweep the finals.
Lamar, excuse me, Lamar, do you think Dallas will get one?
Oh, I think they will. I mean, I think they'll come out in game four, energized for this one because I just can't see them laying an egg on their floor. I just cannot see them do that. So I think that they'll try to at least give one good fight here for this. I think to kind of also talk about where this kind of ends up for the Celtics. Um, while maybe this run this season may not be, I mean, obviously they won 64 games, but you also take a look at the opponents that they possibly played against in the playoffs. It really doesn't look as staggering or anything else like that. I think this kind of reminds me. It's just about the journey. It's not just a journey this season. I think for them that it is. I think it's the journey, honestly, for really, the last probably the last decade, if not just also the last 7 years in total. You know, of course, obviously you're going from the point right there where you trade away the big three, you trade away Garnett, you trade away Terry, you also trade away Paul Pierce. You tear this thing down, you start building it up basically with the Nets picks, and of course you get Jason and Jalen, and everybody keeps on saying, "Man, you got to trade them. You got to trade them. You got to trade them for a bigger piece. You got to trade them for a bigger piece." But they kept their guns and they kept on saying, "Well, no, we know what we got here. We know what we got here." And every single time, it just seems like they just kept on hitting their head on the ceiling, no matter what happens. And then now to the point here where they can just be knocking on the door of winning a championship. I just think it's like the journey of that. I think it kind of reminds me of something kind of like maybe a team like the '89 Pistons or something else like that, where those Piston teams had to get past the Celtics and had to get past the Lakers in order to get to that championship. And obviously the one of the years where they got to, I mean, I think they lost two game sevens in a row. I mean, before winning a championship, one to the Celtics, one to the Lakers, and then after the year after they win the championship, and they basically sweep the Lakers at that point. So I just think it's something like that here where it's the journey. The journey is not just this year, but the journey is really of multiple years of coming close, not getting there, and now finally you're getting a chance to raise up that trophy. And I just think that might be the more impressive thing there rather than maybe this year or anything else like that. So
Okay. Okay. So We basically talked about the game ad nauseum here for the first 25 minutes. And now we're going to go to fan questions, fan comments. So, folks, put your questions and your comments in the chat. We're about to read them off here live on the show. We're going to start off with, I think this is a pretty funny one. We're going to start off, Maya asked, so why is Joe Mazzulla's salary $2 or $3 million and his hairline is still looking raggedy?
That dude doesn't look like he goes outside much. Like he great coach. But he don't seem like he has really one of them personalities where he booking a barber's appointment through the app. I'm not gonna say he pulling a Kevin Sumlin, Alex, but
he's close though.
Yeah, he's close. I think he's just probably kept the same barber his whole life. Probably still at some barbershop somewhere, just going in. Like, he don't seem like he's really like high maintenance like that. Like, really just trying to find the best barber out here. And what great barbers are in Boston?
See, that's a really good question. I feel like you know who found the great barbers in Boston, though?
Who?
Ime Udoka found them.
Yeah.
Really found them. Hey, I think folks in Boston, once they had to get rid of Mr. Steal Your Girl for being a HR menace on the level of Vince McMahon or Bobby Petrino, they were like, who on this staff can we go to that won't embarrass us, right? They're like, Joe. Joe don't go outside. Joe don't have a barber. Joe don't care. Like, I'm not saying he's on like that Kevin Durant level, because Kevin Durant just doesn't give a damn what he looks like. Like, I've never seen a grown black man who is voluntarily ashy. Like, oh my God, right? Joe Mazzulla ain't at that level, but it's like, brother, you need to go to a barber who has one of those ring lights in one of those suites. And it's not like they can't get him right. You know what I'm saying? Marcus Freeman lives in South Bend, Indiana, and he never looks raggedy.
Tatum always keeps a lineup too.
See, Jaylen Brown. Mm-hmm. Jaylen Brown's beard looks right.
They both do. Yeah, they both do. They both keep it.
Look, they finding somebody. Like, Joe Mazzulla maybe needs to tag along with them. I don't know. But I don't know what's going on with Joe Mazzulla's hairline. Hopefully, now that he has when he's going to win this championship, he might. Well, I will say this, Ken. You know what I'm thinking about now?
What?
How many black barbershops are there in Boston, right? Or do you think Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum have to go? You think they got to catch a train to Philly?
They might have their own personal barber, honestly. Like, you think they have a barber that's with them?
It wouldn't shock me. It wouldn't shock me because sometimes folks fly them in, fly them out. Mm-hmm. But we talking about it's Boston. I know Boston got a real big Afro-Caribbean community out there. Like, because Al Horford keeps it tight. Al Horford, well, he ain't got much hair. Right. He kind of pulling a Chris Paul, right? But he lines up the little shadow. You know what I'm saying? And his little shadow looks crisp. Somebody said, Mark, you say Al Horford looks like a baby chicken?
You could tell it was Chris today. You could tell he had it right today.
He did.
He was good to go today.
So, okay, Ken, I'm gonna ask you this. Ken, Lamar, I'm gonna ask you this. Between Chris Paul or Al Horford, who needs to go bald first?
Chris Paul for sure.
Yeah.
Because most of the time, Al Horford already. Go ahead, Lamar.
No, I was just about to say, Chris Paul just got that Doc Rivers. Y'all saw. I bet y'all probably seen that Jada Kiss thing when he was on Club 520, and he was like with Doc. He got the hairline right here, and then it's just nothing in the back. Doc is just ill with it.
Hey, at least they're not pulling that Carlos Boozer, where Carlos Boozer put that spray paint on the top.
Yeah, that was ridiculous.
Hey, dog, that was wild. We got Spencer in the comment section says LeBron needs to go ball before both of them. Yes, LeBron is so committed to the lie. LeBron still wears a do-rag and still brushes his hair, and he has really none. LeBron got that bald spot in the back of his head. Like, I knew LeBron was faking it with the hairline because when he finished out that last year in Miami, his hairline looked like the Wu-Tang symbol.
Yeah,
by the time he got to Cleveland, he had a fresh line, and I'm like,
yeah, and then didn't fix like the rest of his head. I'm like, you got all this money in the world, you gonna fix the front, but you ain't gonna fix the bald spot in the back. Like, either just let it go or fix the whole thing. Like, what do we like? You just wanted a fresh lineup just to go back home, just to do that parade. Like, no, man.
Hey, because Savannah looking at him crazy. Like, now he knows good and well. I know there's some fiction on the top of his head. Do you remember when Anthony Davis first got to LA and there was a game and LeBron's lace front kind of got twisted up and AD was like, Bron.
Yes.
I don't know if y'all remember that, but I'm like, look, at that point, man, just go bald. It's okay. It is okay. And I think maybe LeBron don't think he got the head for it. In this era, don't nobody do the cul-de-sac or the George Jefferson no more. Don't nobody rock the Uncle Phil no more. But it's like, just go bald or wear a hat. It's okay.
I agree.
We got another comment. Jasmine says, shout out to MJ because he knew he wasn't built for this.
And it started a whole trend. Everybody was cool being bald.
Yeah.
Everybody was cool being bald because of MJ. He made it cool.
That he did. Aaron Hall, the other dude. You know what I'm talking about, Ken.
Dude, I say this all the time. Like, I used to work at a military school, and like, obviously we're recruiting kids to go there. Like, I'm like, man, I don't know how you recruit kids, like, get them to cut their hair, especially like this generation. Like, the coaches, like, yeah, it really just changes by generation, because when I was recruiting kids, when Michael Jordan was playing for the Bulls, it wasn't hard to get kids to cut their hair at all. Like, it was not hard to get kids to buy into that. So yeah, I mean, he understood it. Like, he went bald, man, and it worked.
You know what I think it might be though, Ken? Some people, LeBron has looked old for a very long time, right? LeBron got an old face, right? Mm-hmm. And I think what hurt so often in the previous eras of the NBA, the dudes who were bald, they looked very old. Like, I saw a picture of Clyde Drexler in 1990 when he was like 27 years old, and you could have told me he was 55 and a janitor.
All them dudes. Look, Nate Thurman. This picture of Nate Thurman at 25 years old. Oh, Nate Thurman looks like he's already got grandkids.
Hold on, I'm about to look this up now.
Nate Thurman, he's playing for like the Warriors.
Oh hell, oh my God, he definitely takes blood pressure medication.
That's what I'm
saying. I see it.
Oh my God, he looks old, Jack. Like, he looks like the old deacon at the church who he starts serving off by playing the tambourine.
Like the deacon at the church.
and Mark said, yes, you're right. He was fresh out of college looking like this.
That's what I'm saying. These dudes were like, I guess that's what Braun is afraid of. You don't want to look like, but at this point, he's about to be 40. Embrace it. You're about to have a new chapter of your life.
You have a son in college,
right?
You think
I'll tell you another person that kind of looks old.
What's up?
Y'all remember Perry Ellis, who played for Kansas?
Yes.
Oh, yes, I remember old Perry Ellis. Perry Ellis was in his 7th year at Kansas, and his hairline was receding. Okay. Oh, I used to get, like, how many years of eligibility does this man have?
Oh, I forgot what he looked like. Perry Ellis was 40.
Perry Ellis got a COVID year before they gave out COVID years. That's how.
Dog. It felt like Perry Ellis was in college so long. Like, he was one of them. he almost like TJ McConnell, where the only reason they were good in college because they're a 10th year PhD student. Like that. Oh my God. Perry Ellis looks old. Yo, speaking of people who shouldn't be in college too long, you remember Casey Thompson, who played quarterback at Texas?
Yes. He's still
Casey
in college.
Thompson. Yes.
For who?
Yes. He's going to be the backup quarterback this year for the Oklahoma Sooners.
What?
Yeah. So in 21, he was a starting quarterback. He got to Texas in 2018. He left after Sark's first 5 and 7 year. I think he went to Nebraska for a year. Then he was at Florida Atlantic with Tom Herman for a year, got hurt or something. And now he transferring to Oklahoma to be the backup quarterback.
Wow.
The word of the day is job. Job.
Yeah, that's too long.
To be in college, look, at that point, look, if you're in, he been in college since 2018. He better have 2 master's degrees. Better yet 3.
Yeah, that's too long.
I mean, if Charles Barkley out here on LinkedIn, that means y'all can get on LinkedIn too. Come on now. Set up a profile. Get on there.
Get an internship, for the love of God. Join the workforce. It's not, they have pretty good insurance out here. All right, let's go to some more questions. Remember, folks, put your questions in your comments in the chat. Put your questions in the chat. So we got another question. I'm about to put it on the screen now. All right, here we go. What's more humiliating for the Mavs, losing game 4 at home or losing game 5 in Boston surrounded by Celtics fans?
Getting swept. Getting swept at home. I mean, if you lose on the road, like, it is what it is. Like, people are supposed to protect home court, but it's never a good feeling. Or, in my opinion, it's never a good look, like, when the other team is, like, celebrating on your home floor. Like, because obviously the crowd's not really into it, right? It's just, it's not a good look. I would rather lose on the road. They won in their building. Let's get on the bus, get back to the hotel, go home.
Lamar?
Yeah, I'll say, losing game 4 at home. I mean, you don't want to get swept. You didn't come this far to get swept, and losing on your home floor. So, having a free plane trip back to Boston, I mean, hey, that's cool. I mean, if that's the case, you could just divert yourself back to Cancun that way, and everything will be all right. So, yeah, losing game 4, that would be much more humiliating.
I would say getting swept as well, but I think there's levels to getting swept, right? There's getting swept and like losing in a close game. You lose a game maybe by 2 points, 4 points, maybe 8 to 10 tops, right? It's like, we lost, but we went down swinging, right? They were just, couldn't lose it at the hands of a better man. There's that, and then there's just getting your doors blown off, like Minnesota did in game 5 on their home floor.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's just a big fundamental difference. I think if you just lose, it's like, all right, man, we lost to the better team. Kind of like, what year was that? 2018, when the Cavs got swept by the Warriors. It was like, all right, it was a foregone conclusion, but it was like, they played well that game. They tried their best, but they lost. It wasn't necessarily embarrassing, right? They didn't get embarrassed. But losing by 20, 25, 30.
Yep.
And it's even worse if it's like from the outset. You're like, oh, yeah, this is a wrap. And you down by 30, 35 midway through the second quarter. I think if they got run like that, then it would be like really humiliating. I will say, if they have to go back to Boston in game 5, we need Secret Service protection for Kyrie Irving. Okay, we do. If not Secret Service, maybe they don't want to take it. Maybe the Fruit of Islam can handle the situation. if not them. How far is Boston from New York?
I don't know.
Not that far, is it?
Can't be that far though.
Right? Can the Hebrew Israelites get there? Because remember last year when the Hebrew Israelites were marching outside the Barclays Center and we all thought it was the Qs? Maybe they can get there and provide protection for Kyrie Irving. Because in all seriousness, he gonna need it. There gonna be some hard ERs they throw out there.
Oh yeah. Well, they was gonna do that win or lose, but winning, sheesh.
Mm-hmm.
Look, man, I hope you get hit by a car, Kyrie. Hope you get hit by a car. That's all you gonna hear. And like I said before, Ken, and like you just said it, win or lose, them Boston fans go make January 6th look like a kindergarten field day.
Yeah. That's one of the only reasons why I didn't really want Boston to win. Because like I like Jason Tatum, I like Jaylen Brown, but the fans, man, some of those fans are ridiculous. Mm-hmm. They're ridiculous.
Yeah. Oh, Marcus, you said the Morris Science Temple can come. Oh yeah, man. Kyrie gonna bring out all the folks who read those self-published books who are on Prairie View's campus, and they just show up in those robes and they preach for 30 or 40 minutes. All of them can show up. You know what? One of them groups they're called like the Republic of New Africa and Nubian some or another. And I'm like, y'all got some names on y'all, boy. And then they'll have like a Muslim first name, but like an Irish or English last name. So homeboy will be like Shablim McNulty or something like that. And you're like, I thought you just would have went with the X by now, brother, but we'll take it. We'll take it. Hey man, I spent a lot of time around these people. You spend 4 or 5 years at Prairie View. You get a very good. You start to understand these people a whole lot. I'm just saying. Let's go to some more questions and some more comments. Oh, Marcus has a comment. He's like, "Who else is loving seeing Jaylen Brown's development and attention?"
Last year, right? Everybody's saying, he couldn't go left and all of these things. And, there's a lot of jokes with it. And, kind of like Lamar said, it's always kind of like trying to break up the duo. And I can't even say they because I was a part, I wanted them to make a move at some point too. But Boston has remained loyal to them. Brad Stevens has done a heck of a job, right? And now they put all the right pieces around them. And now those guys are maturing, and down the stretch, he hit some big shots. Like he hit some big shots. I think he had what was it?
He had 30.
What was it? 24 in the second half? Because he had like 4 at halftime, right? Or 26?
He had I think he had 26 in the second half. Yeah.
26 in the second half, like that, especially that third quarter. That dunk was impressive. And Dallas gets on a run. He makes that tough mid-range shot in isolation. Like, you got it. I love it. I love the development. I love the development that he's made. And even on the defensive end, like he was picking up Luka full court earlier this series. Like, that dude he's a dude. He is a dude.
I think last year I spent a lot of time going in on Jaylen Brown. I think at the beginning of this season, I said Jaylen Brown is who I aspire to be. I said I would love to make an insane amount of money and not be able to do a critical part of my job, right?
Mm-hmm.
Jaylen Brown couldn't go left. Jaylen Brown couldn't dribble. Like, how many times were you seeing Jaylen Brown try to make a move, ball going off his foot, losing the handle, this, that, and the third? I think one thing I think we should remember, because Jaylen Brown's 25 now?
Let's see.
27.
27. Okay. Right. I feel like
he's about to be turning 28. Yeah.
Okay. I get how old he and Tatum are. I constantly can't keep a good hold of because they've been in the conference finals since basically the day they walked in the door.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's been so difficult to keep track of them. Right. But I think with guys who come into the league that young, they still are developing skills that they probably would have developed in year 4 or 5 in the NBA that they would have developed in 4 years of college, right? So to see Jaylen Brown like take another step, right, and actually be he's been, I think, is it fair to say he's been their best player this series?
I believe it's fair to say that he'll be the Finals MVP if it's ended right now.
I could see that because I'm like, it can't be Tatum because Tatum's only had one good game, and then his good game tonight was, what do you have, 30 points on 26 shots?
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like it was the classic Jason Tatum game where there are moments where he gets to the bucket and you're like, dude, you can do that every time if you want to. And then there are other moments where he's taking these horrible turnaround, contested shots, step backs. You're like, this is horrible. Who is why? Right? So I think it's probably going to go to Jaylen Brown.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's just impressive to see how he's just kept pushing and kept getting better, right? Because I think between Jaylen Brown getting better this year, Joe Mazzulla doing a better job of coaching, and then the addition of Drew Holiday and KP is really what got them here, you know?
Mm-hmm. For sure. I mean, it just all kind of like culminated, and then the way that they play, like, you know, like this is what Daryl Morey envisioned, I guess, years ago. Like this analytic style of play finally worked. Like this is how they wanted the Rockets to be built. This is how they wanted analytical people. This is how they wanted the game to be played. Like they're putting up a bunch of threes or shooting them at a high clip, and they're making them at a high clip, and they got two legit scores that can get downhill. And so kudos to him, man. Kudos to him, and I hope, you know, not for the sake of being a Lakers fan, but, you know, I hope Boston is really good. Obviously, they've been to, like you said, to the conference finals for so many years now that these two have been in the league, but I hope they can get that confidence after winning that first ring and really become like a threat every year to get there.
All right, we got another fan question here. Mark is just coming with the great questions tonight. So he asks, so who of these options is a superstar? You can only choose one. None is an option two. God damn, this feel like college. Jason Tatum, Devin Booker, Anthony Edwards, Jaylen Brown, or Donovan Mitchell?
Which of these options is a superstar? You can only choose one. Wow. Well, I have a criteria for a superstar that I've went by ever since we started this show. And you have to be able to be the best player on a championship team to be considered a superstar in my eyes.
That takes out Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah, Donovan Mitchell's not a superstar in my opinion. Devin Booker, he's a star. Both those guys are really good stars.
Yeah.
Anthony Edwards has superstar charisma, and he's got a superstar game, right? Because of the audience that he attracts, right? Like this dude had the eyes of the world watching him, right? He's high flying, he's charismatic, he's funny, right? And he's got a game that is aesthetically pleasing, right? You enjoy watching him play. He's going to be a superstar. And I think he's close to it. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, I don't know. I just did all that praising, but
you're not ready to go there.
Like we just talked about Jason Tatum and just the ill-advised shots that he takes at times. Like, and don't get me wrong, like all of these players are top 20, top 15 players. I just hold superstar in a different. I just hold it in a different term than everybody else. Like we just throw that term around so loosely. Oh, he's a superstar. He's a superstar. He's a superstar. No, no, they're not. They're
It's
stars.
you saying it kind of like people like throw around the word classic album.
Yeah, like be for real. Like these guys can't be the same as these other superstars. You know what I mean? Like if Jokic, Giannis, LeBron, Kawhi, when he was fully healthy, are superstars, and these
Steph.
guys are superstars too. Steph, I'm sorry. Then what's the difference? Like there is a difference. These guys are stars. These guys are superstars. Now again, like I said, Anthony Edwards is getting up there. I think the rest of those guys are just really good stars. And Jaylen Brown and Jace Tatum are just two good stars with a really good team around them. They ain't no superstars. They're not. I can't say that. I can't in good faith. I just saw them step back. Jason Tatum was taken. No. No.
Lamar, what you got?
I think Tatum is the closest of the two Celtics between him and Brown. I feel like slightly, but I gotta go with Ant, man. Like, yo, the man has the charisma. The man has the game. I think we're gonna see another level to the Ant Man when he gets over there in the Olympics this year. I think that we're gonna see a whole different side of Ant elevating his game and then talking cash noise to some third world country and all that stuff, just being like, yeah, in your face, something like that, and just coming to the press conference with the A shirt, because we can't really say what it used to be, and the Atlanta hat on.
Wait, which the eight? Oh, the
that.
I see your goal, Lamar. Anthony Edwards does show up to the press conference looking like a shade tree mechanic. So look here, young blood, you just got to get the auxiliary carburetor set up right. You're gonna be good. Timing belt off. Well, I can just hear it. Right? Can we get a camera crew to follow Anthony Edwards around France and have him try different foods and go to different places? Like, can they take his Southwest Atlanta ass different places all over France?
Like how they be doing Marshawn Lynch?
Yes. Matter of fact, can we get, I'm going to make a request. Can we get Marshawn Lynch, Keon Coleman from the Bills?
I like that dude.
Yeah, he's shout out to Opelousas, Louisiana.
Yes.
Them yo folks, Opelousas, like Lamar.
Just a few down south. Actually, I got a chance to interview him once before at a basketball All-Star game.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
Can we get Marshawn Lynch, Anthony Edwards, Keon Coleman, and what's that new wide receiver who plays for the Panthers who has such a Southern accent? And I feel like people act like they don't have no clue what he's saying. I'm like, me from the South, I know exactly what he's saying. Can we get the four of them on a TV show and have them just do random things?
That'd be a good show.
Man, look, you talk about a ratings hit. Look, ESPN will put anything on TV now.
Mm-hmm.
Could they put that on Zeus or one of those? I don't know. But I think to the question, and I see some folks in the comments saying that folks have so much hope for Donovan Mitchell. I did too. I feel like those first couple years, Spider was something else, man.
Yeah.
He was tough those first couple years, man. But I think he's kind of leveled off. You know what I mean? I think Anthony Edwards is going to be a superstar. And tell me what y'all think about this, right? I think Anthony Edwards' game, at least for me right now, he feels like I'm watching Dwayne Wade's at times. D Wade with a jump shot.
But he's bigger. Yeah. He's a little bit bigger. And he's got a better jump shot. He doesn't have he's not as quick as D Wade, but he's more athletic than D Wade. And And so it's like must see TV because like, what is this dude going to do tonight? Like, especially like after like he cemented sweeping Phoenix by dunking on KD, and like he was trash talking him the whole time. Like KD is one of the 5 best players of this century, probably. And like, this how you do? Like, I loved it. So yeah, I think he is the closest to being a superstar out of them. Donovan Mitchell, you got to remember he came in, he was a little bit older. He did a couple of years at Louisville, right?
Yeah.
So he was a little bit more refined. Came in, had some really good series. I don't know. I never, I thought he was good. I thought he was going to be good, but I also thought he kind of. That's what he's going to be. That's what he's going to be. Now he's had some really good playoff performances, but superstar, like I never saw Donovan Mitchell being up there with like the Stephs, the LeBrons. I saw Jason Tatum. I did see that. I'm like, maybe this guy can get up there, especially early on. He had the Game 7 his rookie year. He dunked on LeBron, and I'm like, okay, this dude gonna be a guy. And he's not far off, but he's off. He is. He's off.
Why it sound like when we talk about Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, we talk about them like they Cisco and Jazz from Drew Hill. Like they can't really. They might have a solo album that does really well, but they belong in the group.
Yeah, like they belong, but they. That's a really good question, Mark. Shout out to Mark for that question.
We got any other questions in the chat that we need to get to? Let's just see, because y'all have been lighting this chat up tonight. Shout out to y'all. Shout out to y'all for the fan participation. Oh, we got one more. Jasmine gave us a lot on the last episode talking about that Clipper series. Where is it? Oh, here it is. Here it is. She said she's still sick that the Clippers lost to the Mavs. Donald Sterling has a curse on that franchise that I don't think is going to be lifted until the day he goes into the ground. I'm just going to say that. Like, real talk, Donald Sterling he's put some hoodoo or some hocus pocus on them that you just can't wash off with a new arena or some new jerseys or some new players. Like, there is something like, you know how what did the Boston Red Sox have, the curse of the Bambino?
Mm-hmm.
The curse of old racist. Donald Sterling. It's gonna take a while to get rid of that boy. And I ain't gonna lie, shout out to you, Jasmine. You about the only Clippers fan I know. And look, Ken, you talk about me being in a Charles and Helen relationship with the Houston with the Texas Longhorns. This is worse. This is like being in what was that? A fall from grace? Give me an ashtray. That's what being a Clippers fan must feel like.
Man, I don't know. I don't know how people do it. I don't know how Jasmine does it because she's a devoted Clippers fan, and year after year, something or someone falls apart, and I just don't get it. But I just know I'll never pick them. Not currently standing. Like, I just can't. Even when it seems like everything is rolling together, or at the beginning of the season, or at the end of the season, I still can't go, I could see the Clippers getting to the championship. Somebody's going to fall apart.
You know what it might be when the Clippers like make it to the finals or something? You remember when them that 89-year-old Detroit Lions fan was crying in the suite?
Dog, that's literally how it will be. That's literally how it will be. Like, well, honestly, like if we're being totally transparent, because I haven't seen it, my life as a Cowboys fan is the same as these Clippers. I haven't seen any Super Bowls. I haven't seen any NFC conference championships. I've just seen divisional round and wild card.
I'll give y'all this, man. Y'all have not been perpetually sorry, right?
Not like, we haven't been sorry. That's true.
Y'all have been y'all, the Cowboys are always at a place where they are a very good team, but they ultimately underachieve because they should be able to do more. The Cowboys, at least in you and I's lifetime, Ken, the Cowboys have only been like laughably bad maybe once.
Tony Romo got hurt that year. And
I wouldn't even call that laughably bad, though. That's because the quarterback was hurt. You know what I'm saying?
True.
The one year I would say that it was laughably bad was the first year of BBW Jason Garrett. 2020. That was the year where I was like, oh, this is horrendous. That's the year where Dak like split his ankle in like 5
Oh,
minutes.
yeah. Dak got hurt.
Yeah.
And they started off like what, 2-6, 2-7, something, and they got smacked by the Cardinals at home. Oh, yeah, that's when the East was cheeks that year, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So Jasmine says she hasn't been a devout follower since Chris Paul left. Why it sound like a cult?
And I don't. But you got to think though, the Clippers. I'm trying to think. Obviously, they were bad, but when we were younger, right? Those early 2000s, they had those young guys: Lamar Odom, Corey Maggette, Quinn Richardson, Darius Miles, and Knuckleheads. Right? They were exciting. They weren't that good. Now, late 2000s, they were pretty bad. But then they get Blake for 2011, 2012. Then they go on that like 10-year stretch where like they've been a playoff team, like they've been a perennial contender. They just haven't got it done.
But I think, given as bad as the Clippers have been throughout this is the most successful period of the franchise ever.
By far.
The past 12 years?
It will be like the Lions. It will be like the Lions guy.
They just got to get the right coach. Like, I mean, and I think T. Lue's a great coach. You know what I'm saying? But some just not quite. They
might be cursed, bro. They might be cursed. Like, I know at least there's been 2 or 3 times in like these 12 years where I'm like, the Clippers should be one of the 3 best teams in the NBA. Mm-hmm. They should at least be going to the finals. They should at least be going to the conference finals, and they should be in the finals. And for some reason or another, it has not worked.
The curse that the Clippers have on them at this point, it's biblical. At this point. Oh, we got a couple more comments, and then we gonna ride out of here. Here we go. If Jerry West, Marcus said, if Jerry West didn't pass today, he'd have been. I would have had several obscenities to shout about seeing Paul George on my screen tonight. Wait, was he on NBA Countdown?
He was on NBA Countdown.
Yes.
He was on NBA Countdown.
R.I.P. to Jerry West.
R.I.P. to Jerry West, the legend, the logo. Yeah. Paul George is another one that should have been in that Marcus question. He's a little bit too old, though. But he's another one that should be in that Marcus question.
Oh, about superstar? No, Paul George is a superstar. Paul George has superstar talent.
Jekyll and Hyde George.
He has superstar talent, but the wildest thing about Paul George is you have seen Paul George be the best team on really good Pacers teams. Paul George, we know Paul George has the talent to be the best player in a playoff series, right? But it's just too many moments where it doesn't happen for him. Paul George a whole lot like a deadbeat dad. I don't have a deadbeat dad. I'm just telling you what I've heard. Right? When you think he's going to show up, right? They show up when you least expect it. But on the days they tell you, I'm going to be here. I'm going to be here. I'm going to be at your graduation. I'm going to be at your football game. They're not there. I'll catch you next time. I'm sorry. I had something to do. That's Paul George. Honestly, that's Paul George.
I can't disagree. I can't disagree with it. But also, it's something I've been saying for years. And people tried to push back because we all just remember Paul George dunking over Birdman in the Miami Heat series and like, yeah, Paul George is a guy. He went toe-to-toe with LeBron. Give me after that. What happened?
The worst thing Paul George ever did. Playoff P. He anointed himself playoff P.
And that's where I took it. That's where I took it. That's where I took it. It started going downhill.
That was the problem, because what was that Oklahoma City series where in that closeout game, I think Russell Westbrook scored like 43 points and took 48 shots. Carmelo and Paul George are standing around doing Lord knows what. Like that might have been the first time I've seen Paul George shoot the ball off the backboard.
I think he had 5 points.
Yes, he did.
But even so, the year before that, that was 2018. This is 2017.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, this is 2017. He's in Indiana. They play Cleveland in the first round. Jeff Teague just talked about this. And I knew it.
Yeah.
I knew it. He just talked about this. Lamar knows it. Game 1, it's a close game against Cleveland, LeBron and Kyrie. He passes the ball to CJ Miles and then directly asks for it back. And CJ Miles shoots it, misses it. So Paul George comes to the podium and is like, I got to take that shot. Like, CJ got to swing that ball back to me. I got to shoot that shot. So, like, game 5, I think, or maybe it was game 4. I think they got swept. He gets another opportunity to shoot it. He shoots at air balls. So, Jeff Teague says CJ Miles comes to him in the locker room and shows, like, Jeff Teague the video of Paul George. You know that Gatorade commercial?
The Gatorade commercial.
Ball game. Like, dude, he's not that guy. Like, he wants us to believe he is, and maybe he thinks he is, but he's not. Really good co-star, though.
Yeah, no doubt. We got a couple more. Spencer says push off P is what we started calling him in Salt Lake. Slow mo Joe Ingles Paul George in that series. He did get the clams put on him.
Hey, man.
Slow mo.
That Australian went to work. Is Joe Ingles Australian? Was that right?
Yes.
He is.
All right. Yeah, he went to work. He went to work. I gained a lot of respect for Joe Ingles in that series.
Oh man, tonight has been fun. This has been fun. Oh, Marcus got one more. I'm just gonna put that on the screen for everybody to read.
He did empty the clip.
Russ emptied the clip and then had some cussing to do with them at the good folks of Salt Lake as he was leaving, as he's bound to do. Oh man, Marcus said leave the Thunder out of this. No, we got to talk about the Thunder. We have to. The Thunder didn't even get far enough in the playoffs for us to talk about all 12 play. You know who I'm talking about too, Ken. Lamar, you know who I'm talking about.
Yes.
We just gonna leave it at that. If you know, you know. And that is another episode of the Gameplan Podcast. Kennedy Miller.
Yes, sir.
Where can the folks find you on the artist formerly known as Twitter?
You can find me on Twitter at _Kennedy Miller _. Again, that's _Kennedy Miller _.
Lamar Gafford, where can the folks find you and your work?
Yeah, you can find me at sunlawpreps.com with some of the stuff that's going on here in the Central Louisiana area. And then you can also find me on Twitter at Lamar Gafford. That's Twitter at Lamar Gafford, all in one word. So feels good to be back at home.
Oh, sure, because you were the traveling man the last week or so, Lamar. You was on the grind,
sir.
putting some miles on your car, going to South Carolina,
Yes, sir.
going to Atlanta, Tuscaloosa. You was. I'd have just flew. I ain't gonna front.
I almost did it. So,
hey, man, 4 hours is most I'm willing to do in a car at this point, man. Kennedy, you know about them drives. Once you make that drive from Denton to Southwest Houston,
yep.
After that, man, your endurance for being in a car just changes dramatically. It just changes. But you guys can find me on Twitter at Alex Goodwin TSM. Again, it's on Twitter at Alex Goodwin TSM. That's T as in tacos, S as in sangria, M as in margaritas. Follow the Gameplan Podcast on Instagram at _ the Game Plan Podcast. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe as well to our official Gameplan Podcast YouTube channel where you are watching this very here live stream. Wherever you're listening, however you're listening, we appreciate you guys for listening. For Kennedy Miller and Lamar Gafford. My name is Alex Goodwin. This has been the Gameplan Podcast. We will see you guys after Game 4. Y'all take it easy.